and we've had, and I think that the three members that are here are all new appointees. They're not part of the original group that founded the Electric Utility Board, but, you know, some of those members, Vern Pickert and Randy Tedford and Ryan Beasley, worked under the dictates of ordinance number 2296, as well as all of you and the other members of the board, and I think that the results speak for themselves. I have no quarrel with what the Electric Utility Board has done, given the dictates of the ordinance that established it. I might nitpick, but hey, we all nitpick sometimes. But yeah, what the Electric Utility Board has done is good, solid, professional, business-like work. You've done a very good job, and you should be lauded and applauded for it. However, we've been laboring under a ordinance that established you that has rendered a lot of the good work that you've done invalid, and is going to keep you from doing some of the good work that you've been doing going forward, because the action that you're taking that is in conflict with any of these 18 Kansas statutes and sub-statutes would be invalid on its face as soon as you took that action. So that is why I brought this item back in front of council. That is why we are sitting here in front of an audience full of people. And at this time, I would open the floor for public comments. If there's a member of the audience that would like to speak on new business item number 9, step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Lee Moore.
Heard.
521 East Dogwood. Good evening, Mayor, council members.
Good evening, Lee.
I think we've all talked over email. You guys know where I stand on this. And a couple of things that Mr. Mayor pointed out. I think we all agree that 2296 is in flagrant violation of 18 Kansas statutes. It's a complete, total mystery to me how, after 5 years, we suddenly find all of these egregious and flagrant violations of Kansas statute. It's a miracle of modern technology, I suppose. But we also have to agree, as the mayor pointed out, the EUB and together with Gardner Energy and the director has been wildly successful in managing and governing the electric utility. And you only need to look at the difference between the success on one hand and how we're still sort of struggling with water and wastewater utility to see that a political structure is not necessarily ideal for this kind of thing, and that running it like a business is in fact probably the way to go. So that's my primary concern. You know, I've read on on the internet all the money grab stuff, and I'm not impressed by that. I don't subscribe to that. I think what the issue is what's best for the citizens of Gardner, and I think we're all trying to do the same thing. But I think where we diverge maybe is in the method to go forward, and I think perhaps rewriting 2296, where we keep part of the success that we've enjoyed with the current setup is probably preferable to scrapping it and starting over and dumping what I think is probably the key to the EUB and Gardner Energy's success over the last 5 years. So I think the evidence overwhelmingly supports the notion that apolitical autonomy is largely, if not solely, responsible for what's been the success of the utility. So I would just like to see that we really look harder at perhaps finding a way to keep that instead of just scrapping what we've been working under successfully for the last 5 years and starting over with something else. And that's all I have. And I will say, as a newly appointed member of that board, the Electric Utility Board, I'm not holding my position for ransom. So I'm going to serve faithfully regardless of what happens here. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Lee. Other public comment? With no one else coming forward, council members, discussion?
I have a couple things. A lot of these are actually follow-up from the meeting. We talked about maybe some proposed changes within that. Those aren't recognized in what we have before us tonight, so I wanted to see if there was still consensus to include those in the ordinance as we'd be voting on it this evening. The first one that we discussed was in reference to Section 2B, the appointment of tenure, and having wording included that would state that current members of the EUB shall serve out the remaining terms. And if I'm speaking incorrectly and there wasn't consensus to make that change, please speak up, but I believe that one was approved by most everybody.
I believe that was a consensus. Corey, Christie, and Steve? Yes.
All right, the next one was Section 4B, and this was the specific wording, I believe, at the end of it that actually did not lend itself to any further to a way we're going to operate in the future. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. 4B was where it states, this provision shall not apply to any contracts and obligations which exceeded the board's authority when executed under ordinance number 2296. My understanding also from the minutes was that Mr. Dank responded that under Kansas law that would not need to be included because that's already part of the state statutes. Is that correct?
It's not, basically, their actions are void, so yes, in essence, that's right. You don't need to put that in there, it was just kind of an express repudiation, so.
Can I just ask?
Yeah, please.
To clarify that, it's my understanding as well from the conversation that we have not run across any situations where that is the case, right? We are not aware right now of any contracts or anything that's been entered into that's above the board's authority that would cause this to be an issue.
Yeah. I think we have some personnel salary increases that are beyond.
Or would that be part of 4C rather than 4B?
Hold on.
I think this was part of the discussion last time, was to, we weren't wanting to make any
Is
States that we will be. I guess my only question is, my preference would be to just strike that if it's not something that we actually need to have. If we're already, by being in more compliance with state statutes, it wouldn't be necessary. And that is the final sentence on Section 4B. But if I'm by myself, that's fine. I wasn't certain on that one if we had consensus to make that change or not.
I guess my question is, if a contract or something was entered into that was above the board's authority, would it not be